Am I the a-hole for spying without advising anyone in advance? Married with 3 adult kids, all employed and moved out. 6 months ago, 24-year-old single daughter asked to move back home for a year to help save for an apartment. We agreed and charged her only a small rent that I planned to give back if she met her savings goals. This past summer, wife and I went on a vacation and daughter, without our knowledge, held a party at the house. Upon return, we noted items in the house damaged or missing. Daughter admitted to what happened and committed to pay for damaged or stolen items. I was upset and felt that the privacy and sanctity of my castle was violated. It made me sick to my stomach that strangers I didn't know were in my house and pilfered through my stuff. I got over it and we moved on. However, I made it very clear to my daughter that no visitors were allowed in our house in the future unless we were present and or approved in advance. Fast forward to the holidays. After Christmas, wife and I went on a 3-day getaway. Prior to leaving, I installed a wireless nanny cam device in the living room that is hooked up to the internet. I did it on my own without advising my wife and daughter. Kind of like a trust but verify situation. After a day, I logged into the camera about 9 p.m. and although there wasn't a party going on, my daughter had a guy in the house engaging in an activity I can't unsee. I quickly turned the computer off and told my wife, and then shit hits the fan. She accused me of violating my daughter's trust and dignity. She immediately called my daughter and advised that I was spying on her. And our mini getaway devolved into a series of mean-spirited comments and silent treatment. Upon our return home, daughter was in the process of moving out, and without getting into specifics, I'm apparently the equivalent of pond scum. In my defense, what I saw for all 5 seconds was not expected on my part. Daughter wasn't in a relationship or even dating. Further, she violated my explicit rule of not having guests over, and there was only a single camera that covered the living room. Not an area where there is normally an expectation of privacy. Although it's embarrassing all around, I don't think I'm the a-hole. I believe I was within my rights to protect and surveil my house in the manner that I did. Wife's position is that I had no right to put a camera in the living room without her knowledge. And daughter's position is that if she knew about the camera, she wouldn't have invited anyone over. But nevertheless, believes she did nothing wrong, as she was a rent-paying adult and was entitled to have a single person over. And what I did was a gross invasion of her privacy. For the record, I didn't pass judgment. Daughter is a mature adult and could have engaged in whatever legal activity she chose, just not in my house involving another person. So here I am just over a week later, looking for the opinion of strangers on the internet. Am I the a-hole? Edit. A few comments. 1. Why didn't I tell my wife in advance? I guess I wanted to do an integrity check on my daughter. The summertime theft incident really shook me, as I had some silver medallions stolen from my desk and that had belonged to my father. Very sentimental items. My daughter's take was that they were just things. It really took me an effort to get over it, but I did. I really wanted to show if my adult daughter was someone I could implicitly trust, and my concern was that my wife would tell her about the camera test. 2. Some comments were made along the lines of, what if your daughter walked past naked whilst doing the laundry? Honestly, the thought never crossed my mind. We're a family that, for whatever reason, never walked around even half naked. It just wasn't a thing. 3. The rent was $200 per month, all in, compared to $1,000 per month, plus utilities and parking that she was paying. A small amount just on principle that, as mentioned, I plan to give her back to help with her down payment for a small condo. Verbal agreement only. 4. If she had advised that she wanted to invite a single friend over, I wouldn't have had an issue. If I know the person, my issues were strangers, as this visitor clearly was. As far as what I got out of this exercise, about a 50-50 ruling, which gives me some comfort in that I'm not some horrible Dr. Evil, as was suggested in the immediate aftermath. If I had a do-over, I would, as some commenter suggested, set the cameras up pointing towards the exterior doors. I would have needed 3, but that would have removed the privacy question from the debate. I will apologize to my wife and daughter to the extent that, although my motive was pure, my execution could have been refined. However, my daughter and I will still have some work to do on our relationship. She violated my trust, and when tempers cool down, I'll suggest that my daughter pay to reupholstery the sofa. I'm kidding. Too soon? Final edit. 1. My daughter, whom I still love very much, is currently living with a friend, but most of her stuff is still here. It's a toss-up what the future holds as far as her living situation. Just as I have softened my position with hindsight, so I believe has she. However, we still think each other as an a-hole to some extent, just not as much as one as the moment when the incident occurred. And we just scheduled a weekend hiking camping trip with her and her sister, so our relationship will be fine. 2. Some commenters stated that it was unreasonable she couldn't bring a guest over as a rent-paying tenant. That is the hill that I will die on. Her rent hardly even covered the cost of food, and she knew damn well she was likely going to get it back. My wife and I have been very, very generous with our adult children. After the summertime damages and thefts, which were reported to the police in case the items were pawned, I made it clear that she can have guests, but only if I know who they are in advance, or I am present or agree in advance. No more strangers in my house. As an aside, the party had about 30 people, and some were friends of friends. I was appalled when the full details were finally known. There's lots more to that story. 3. If she wanted a Tinder hookup, I get it, but still gross. That's what Holiday Inn Express is for. She has a job and isn't destitute. Important to note that she agreed fully at that time, only to argue a different case in the immediate aftermath. 4. My wife, again, with a do-over. I might have been more strategic with my discovery and utilized the info differently. As the shit hits the fan, as soon as I told her what I saw, it was very visceral and raw. However, we have a deep bond after 35 years and have weathered greater storms than this. At least with all the info out immediately after it happened, there wasn't an opportunity for a bald-faced lie to be made to me, which, in my opinion and based on my personality, would have been much worse all around. 5. All evidence has been erased and or destroyed. I never could have imagined I would have a situation interesting enough to seek outside. Anonymous advice from strangers on the internet. Thank you all for taking the time to weigh in, except for those that called me a dirty old pervert. Really? That was your takeaway. I'm going to share this thread with my wife and daughter so they can understand there is far more gray than black and white. Some of you shared great wisdom, what I truly appreciate. Now, back to being a lurker and judging other people. Way more fun. And here are some comments from Smuff23. Everyone sucks here. You violated a trust. She violated a trust. Your daughter is 24 and you expect her not to have a guest? She's an adult and you've been charging her rent. No visitors are unreasonable for that age. Don't care if you were planning to give her rent back or not. From Strong Independence 03. He never said no visitors at all. He said no visitors unless he is present or she lets him know in advance. It is his house. He has every right to control who is coming in and out of it. From GDDDG. No, this is not true in most places, including the US. He definitely can say no visitors. Informal default tenancy rights are definitely in play, but they basically are limited only to required notice for eviction. Even if she was an unrelated tenant renting in his own with a lease, that would be an acceptable clause. Since he lives there and they share common areas, etc., she is effectively renting a room and use common areas, and there is a lot more leeway. For example, in these cases, you can discriminate. Example, women only, where you cannot. No approved guest would be fine. Also, is a dangerous game for her to say she wants to be treated like a tenant. Market rent that she won't get back is going to be a lot different than a nominal rent he is giving back to her later. A comment from Remarkable Marker. I was looking for a place to live, and one of the reasons I decided against roommates is most roommates in my area are saying they want literally no guests in the apartment due to COVID stuff. If she wants to have the right to have visitors over without parents, okay, she can pay the $1,000 per month to get her own place. And here's another comment from Sexy Rabbit. Yeah, she was not paying market rate and she did not have a formal agreement. Obviously, strings some attached with her staying there and being informed of visitors is not unusual.